Okay, I think that's live. Hello, hello. Welcome to Turn15 channel. Today for the biggest race of the year, the one that we all look forward to, the most glamorous, the most spectacular that this calendar has to offer. It's Indy 500 day, but before that, we'll try our best to get through the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, this is one of the oldest races on the calendar. This is one of the most historic, storied, and spectacular races on the calendar. Definitely one of the most spectacular laps on the calendar. The racing lately, I tell you what, I love this circuit and I love the challenge of it. It is so unique. In that it's a street track that is so tight and so hard to get right, but so rewarding when you do. There's a reason this race means so much. There's a reason that this race is the jewel in the crown of the F1 calendar. There's a reason that it is part of the triple crown of motor racing. Should be a good race, and it should be a good race today as well, because if we go through the starting grid, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise. Leclerc is on pole. That's not that surprising here. He's done it twice before, but it's surprising this year. We don't have Max Verstappen on pole. Amazing. For the first time, his streak of pole positions comes to an end at 8 in a row. Good work, Max. Just missed out. Leclerc, Piastri second. Piastri second on the grid today. That is fantastic. It's great for McLaren. It's great for this country. And it's great for this race because it means Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz and Norris 3 and 4, and Russell 5th. That's a hell of a top 5. Verstappen's down in 6th. Yes, that's right, he is. Verstappen is down in 6th. Absolutely amazing. So this track is so difficult to pass on. I'm not sure we're actually going to get a Verstappen win. I mean, most tracks, Verstappen could start. I mean, what did he start last year in Belgium in like 14th or something? And he was leading, I think, 11, 12 laps into the race. It's not going to happen here. He's going to need strategy. He's going to need balls of steel. And he's going to need a minor miracle to get it done today. Either way, Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen. That's your top 6 starters today. Then Hamilton in 7th place. Then Tsunoda, Albon and Gasly 10th. Then we got Ocon. So good showing by Alpine actually, 10th and 11th. That's pretty great for them. And then Ricciardo in 12th. Stroll and Alonso 13th and 14th. So Stroll ahead of Alonso. Again, Alonso not having a great day yesterday, out in Q1. Elevated up the grid by a couple of penalties, but Aston Martin are having a really, really tough time of it this year. That car is just not doing what they want it to do. Sargent 15th, so decent showing for Sargent actually. It's a lot further up the grid than his usual 20th place. Then Perez in 16th again. Awful qualifying. Bad Checo. Not good. Not good. It's really difficult to see the position he's in right now. He's starting to struggle again, and it's starting to seem a lot like it was last year, where he started well. In fact, I think that he started last year a lot stronger. He had 2 wins by this point of the season last year. He has fuck all wins this year, so not that great. But this is why. And again, there's rumours. Pardon me, as my cold lingers on. There's rumours that Checo is going to end up getting re-signed by Red Bull for next year, and that'd be great for him. It'd be great for Mexico. It'd be great for all the Checo fans, myself included. I'm still a big Checo fan, but 16th, that's really difficult, and that puts Red Bull in a very difficult position. I know it does. It does. We've got a big Checo fan over there in the room somewhere who's yowling. Anyway, Bottas, Joe, 17th and 18th. So Sauber struggles continuous. They just take off on the formation lap. We're getting right into it today. Hulkenberg, K-Mag, 19th and 20th. Now, the Haas drivers were disqualified from qualifying. Their DRS... In fact, I have to wonder what they're going to do with the DRS. Basically, from what I've read about it, the DRS is opening too much because the upgraded rear wing that they've brought. And a lot of teams have bespoke parts for this track because it is so high downforce and such a unique, weird little place that it needs... sometimes quite a lot of weird, unique little bits to put on the car to make it work really well here. Either way, Haas's rear wing doesn't quite fit in that it opens too much with the DRS, and apparently it was a miscommunication from the design departments from one department to another saying, well, not saying this will actually open it beyond the 85mm regulation opening. So well done, Haas. Absolutely outstanding work again. Um, just such an asset to the Formula One grid, that team. I mean, I hate to shit on. Well, I kind of like to shit on them, but I hate to shit on any team, really. I know a lot of the team members there are trying their best, but my god, that is just like, if that's trying your best, then fuck me dead. Either way, what have we got here? Just looks like a whole mix of hard and medium tyres as well. Strategy is important here, but not as important as qualifying. It is very, very difficult to pass here. In fact, Saturday is usually the better day to be watching this. Especially when they're going just absolutely balls to the wall, flat out on their qualifying laps. That shit is very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. In fact, it's some of the most entertaining shit you will ever see in Formula One. Seeing these guys go just kissing walls. And you see it all the time in practice and especially in qualifying yesterday. All these radio messages are hit the wall, little kisses. Just a little suck, you know. But it's so close. There is zero margin for error here. Absolutely nothing except for a couple of corners where maybe you can get away with a bit of a fuck up. But even then, it usually costs you a whole lot of time if your car survives. Charles Leclerc takes his pace on the grid. So the warm-up lap's almost done. Here we go. We're right into it today. Not a lot of news in the week since Imola, because it's only been a week since Imola. It's a very busy part of the season. I'd say the only real news of note is F1's wheel covers experiments that they're trying to mitigate a lot of the spray in rain races and stuff. Well, they've abandoned those wheel covers because, surprise, surprise, they don't fucking work. Anyway, here we go. The grid's all lined up. 1 light, 2 lights, 3, 4, 5. Out. Good start by Leclerc. Good start by Piastri. Good start by Sainz. Oh, that's Verstappen is going to get bullied out by Lewis Hamilton into turn 1 here. Oh, it's very, very tight. Very tight. Actually, I think that Verstappen is going to end up holding on there. Looks like he has. Very lucky boy there. Oh, is that a puncture? I think Sainz doesn't have a puncture. He's done. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Oh, you've got to be shitting. Well, you know, that's my heart broken right from right from minute 1 here. Cock. Well, fuck. That's what I got to say. Fuck. Damn it. Now, it looks like Sainz has gotten going again. Just looking at the track map, it looks like Hulkenberg and Joe. Red flag, so it looks like there's a couple of cars stopped up at turn 3. Yes, it is. Ooh, is that a Red Bull? That's Checo. Wow. So that's actually quite a way before the Sainz car. Oh, that is a big... I think they've just straight up squeezed each other in there. Oh, that's a big accident for Checo there. My goodness. Both the Haases are out. I would love to see a replay of this crash, because this looks like it's going to be a little bit crazy. Goodness me. So, well, that will be a bit of a cleanup, I'm guessing, about half an hour or so, and then we'll be back underway. As a little bit of an accident here as well. If anybody wants my free advice, don't ever get cuts. Sorry, a big crash. Now, the good thing is with Monaco, the marshals are actually very quick at getting cars out of here. They've been trained for decades to do this, and they've all got cranes. You can see one there. They've got cranes situated around the track, and they're usually very, very quick. Sometimes maybe a minute from a car crashing to being lifted up and off the circuit. That's a big hit for Checo. My God. That's a big hit. Oh, so it looks like Checo's just been pitched into the wall there. Pitched into the wall, and then he's come back across and collected one of the other. I think he's collected Nico Hulkenberg. I want to see another replay there, but I think it's Checo and K-Mag have squeezed each other, and as Checo's hit the wall, he's come back and collected Hulkenberg. I want to see another replay though, but that's what it looks like for now. There's Piastri in his Ayrton Senna tribute helmet. So here we go. All right, now the big cleanup starts. So, well, it was a quick start into the race, but now we've actually got time to go through the news, and just as well, because there's not really that much news. The Indy 500's today, so personally I'm looking forward to that a lot. If you've never watched the Indy 500, I feel bad for your son, because I've seen 99 races, and the Indy 500 was by far the best one. So replay the start here. So it looks like Verstappen had a bit of a poor getaway, and I'm surprised that he's actually stayed ahead of Lewis. I think he's just pinched Lewis into turn one and managed to stay ahead of him, so good for Max there. Now, what's going to happen at the back here? Where is that Red Bull? Just out of... it's out of screenshot there. That is fucking heartbreaking for Science. Did he get back? Because I thought I saw his, on the track map, his little dot going again. I think he might have been coming back, so he might even be able to take the restart, but I'd assume he'd be right at the back of the grid now. So, Joe's had a bad start because he's dead last there. And it looks like K-Mag's just been squeezed kind of into the wall, and that's a big hit. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Oh... it's a shame for Science, but I mean, a red flag is a red flag, and it's just a shame that I don't think he's going to be able to take the pits from, where is he? It says he's 16th on the timing screen, so I'm guessing that's where, okay, so he's had a bit of contact with Piastri's floor then, out of turn one. It is a very, very tight circuit here, and just, yeah, that tyre's completely fucked. God, that is heartbreaking, that is. Bastard. That's a real shame. Okay, on board with Checo. This will be fun. Should point out everybody's A-okay except for their prides. It's so slow at the back coming into turn one. Just such a squeeze. A whole grid coming into one of the slowest corners, and look at him go. He had no idea that was coming. So Checo was more hanging around the middle of the track, and I just don't think he realised that K-Mag would have been right there with him. So on board with Hulk here. It's a reasonable start by Hulkenberg as well. Looks like Bottas is starting to shove is that Williams ahead of him? So Hulk's actually lost a position to K-Mag there, and then, yeah, just a straight squeeze, and then bad luck, he just gets tagged as Checo comes back across the track. So... that was unnecessary, says Hulkenberg. It was unnecessary, yeah. Unlucky, too. Very unlucky for Hulkenberg. He didn't really have anything to do with that. Just wrong place, wrong time. So, view from Zhou Guanyu. So, a bit of an average start, but it looks like both the Haas's have jumped him, and then that's all it takes, really, to go back to last. I'd say he's taking a bit of a cautious approach to... God, he's had a front review of that crash, isn't he? And then there's just all sorts of shit right in front of him, so I'm guessing brand new tyres on Zhou Guanyu for the restart. Now, they didn't do an entire racing lap, and I'm not sure... and I'm sure this will get covered soon. But does this mean that nobody has to pit? if they change tyres now, does this mean that nobody has to pit? Like, say, let's Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, who all started on the mediums, if they all go to the hards, they should be fine for the rest of the race then. Replay of Max seeing that crash. Again, Checo, it's bad luck for Checo. It's bad for Red Bull. That's a big, expensive accident. I'm not sure how many lunches you have to fake to put money into repairing that if you're Red Bull, but that Red Bull shouldn't be back there to begin with. I think that's what it's basically my takeaway of it. It's bad luck, but he shouldn't be down there anyway. That's what she said. He should be fighting at the front of the grid, or at least a lot further to the front of the grid. It's not doing anybody any good starting from way down there. Starting 16th, which would have been 18th from memory, before the Haas issues. Now, what else has been going on in the weird, wide, wonderful world of Formula One during this red flag? Now, this shouldn't be as long as a red flag that we had at the start a couple of years ago, where it just rained and then it didn't, then it rained again, then it didn't, and they had the start light kerfuffle. I think this should be, 12 past the hour. I think this should be up and ready to go by about probably in about 20 or so minutes. So, in the meantime, if you've got any questions, got any comments, got anything else you'd like to ask, any ideas you want to run by me, if you want to poke at any of my opinions, test how legit I am in your eyes. Now, there's really not been a whole lot of news. Now, an interesting thing from yesterday, I think, not only that Lewis Hamilton qualified down in 7th place, but also just how dejected he was afterwards. He made comments afterwards in the media saying that he's not really expecting to out-qualify teammate George Russell for really the rest of the year, and George has got a new front wing this round rather. Now the difference is, I think 2/10 is what they reckoned between the front wings, between the old and the new version. So Lewis Hamilton's running the old one. Apparently they were both offered by Mercedes. They only had one of these new wings, which is why only one of the cars has them, but they offered it to both Lewis and George, and Lewis turned it down, and George said okay. So, just a replay of Ocon getting... That's a big hit for Ocon. That was totally missed in the first corner fuck-up. And where is he? Yeah, down in 15th. He has lost a lot of positions. You are being very rambunctious today. What's going on? I know you're excited for the Indy 500. I am too, but there's a race on, buddy. That is two Alpines getting together. What did he do? What did he do? Why did he try to attack me? Oh my gosh. Gasly sounded like a battered housewife. Red flag. The whole car is damaged now. Yeah, you know what? They flew that red flag. When was that red flag flown? It was around the tunnel. That is just... And Stroll's caught in a bit of contact with those Alpines as well. It's like a green flag waving in the tunnel. So it was still... they were still racing, I guess, when those Alpines actually went for each other there. But... Well, I say went for each other when Ocon went for Gasly, but fuck, I tell you what, when you're Alpine and you are scrambling for points like a homeless scrambling for cash, you can't be doing silly moves like that on lap 1. I know Ocon is probably the worst teammate in the fucking world, to be honest. He's done a whole lot of dodgy, silly shit in the past that compromises the team to try to elevate himself, which is great when you're fighting for a world championship against your teammate like Lewis and Nico used to do, but it's not that great when your team is struggling for points. I think Ocon could and should have maybe waited there. I know it's a racing instinct to just go for it, but if it's your teammate, I don't know, maybe... Because Ocon would have passed by that Ferrari that's been parked as well. I think he would have known that a safety car is coming. Or very likely that a safety car is coming. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was a bit of desperation to get the move done before the race was neutralized, and just while what he thought he saw was a gap, but Ocon is a bell end IMO. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's been his one takeaway. I think what's even more remarkable maybe is that the Sauber seat, not the Sauber seat, sorry, the Force India seat for 2017. It was going between Verline and Ocon for that seat because Force India back then had a Mercedes tech deal. I think they are still running Mercedes engines in those things, aren't they? It's not a Honda yet. Anyway, they were running Mercedes deal, and Verline and Ocon were both Mercedes juniors, and Ocon got the nod apparently because Verline had an even worse attitude than him. So a right generation of bellends maybe. Ocon is a bellend IMO. I think you're pretty on the money, to be honest. I don't mind Ocon. I think silly shit like this is gonna maybe make Audi have a second look at him, and I mean like a second, maybe not kind of a look. Yeah, he's his own worst enemy. I think Ocon sometimes. He's quick. He is quick. I've always thought that he's very very fast, but it's not much help when you're doing shit like that. You could be the quickest guy who ever sat in a Formula One car, but if you're constantly getting in scraps with your teammates and it constantly ends in damage like that, then what's it even fucking worth? 18. So no word on a restart yet. Now, last year in Australia, when they tried the restart, because not all the cars had passed, I think it was either the sector time. They didn't all pass the first sector, and that is why they did a full restart, and that's why Alonso got his positions back after he'd been spun around by Science, and that's why after Stroll went off of turn 3, he got those positions back. And the only guys who didn't get their positions back were the Alpine boys who had crashed into each other, just like this. Now, Joe is still running, and when they threw the red flag, I'm not sure he passed the first sector. And if he didn't, this might end up being a full restart, just without Hulkenberg, Perez, and Magnussen. We'll see. If it is a full restart, then that means that they do need to pit and change their tyres. If it's not a full restart, then that means everybody changes their tyres right now. And we have a 77 lap endurance race, and I mean endurance as in how long will we, the viewers, be able to fucking endure this shit, because pit stops is about the only time this race gets interesting outside of rain. And you never know. I tell you what, last year it was looking like an absolute bit of a balls race, to be honest. Nothing was really going on at all. Again, this is a cat, I'm not just having fun, I promise. I only do that when they go 3 wide to start the Indy 500. You're having fun, are you? At least someone is. Now, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, last year Monaco was it was a pretty boring processional. Not a whole lot of interesting shit happening in that race. But then I had an earthquake where I was watching, and I was like, oh, how about that? Finally got interesting. And then even better, it started raining. And then when it started raining, chaos. And for the next 12 or 15 laps, it was absolutely fantastic. It was bedlam. There was cars gambling on dries and then pitting at the last minute. There was Alonso who just maybe could have won that race if they'd pitted for wets instead of a new set of slicks. Oh well, I think they'll be really ruining that now, because they haven't come even close to winning a race since. Anything could happen is what I'm saying. Although at Monaco it's a little bit rare. I think Alonso will be panic about missing the Indy 500 with this delay. Mate, I am too. Fuck. Jesus. God, that'd be a right shitter to miss the Indy 500 for like an engineering meeting or whatever. Especially for like an interview after the race. God, that'd be awful. So anyway, what was I saying? News, yeah. The wheel covers potentially that they were going to use for wet races. This is Lawson talking with Daniel Ricciardo, which is an interesting thing. I mean, Lawson is an Antipodean. They know each other well. They're, Kiwi land and Australia aren't that far apart, and neither are the people, so I think they get along quite well. But Lawson is going to be gunning for that seat, and Ricciardo hasn't been overwhelmingly fantastic at all this year, except for the Miami Sprint, where he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. A bit like he was in Mexico. He did nothing besides breaking his hand. He did nothing after coming back, except for his race in Mexico, which was fantastic. He blows cold most of the time, but when he's hot, he's very hot. Yeah, what was I saying? The wheel covers, bad idea. I think I was saying it even last year on stream when they were talking about maybe doing these sorts of things. It's not the spray that's coming up from the tyres that is the problem in a Formula One car. I mean, it is a problem, but it's the spray from the air getting thrown up from under the car, especially with ground effect cars like these are. It sucks the rain off of the track and throws it into the air, and that's why they can't see in the rain, and that's why we all have to sit around like it was a NASCAR oval race, bored out of our fucking minds, until the rain has basically turned into a little piddle. Order for the restart. Here we go. 16, 81, 55, 463, 144. So they are turning it back. They're doing a full restart, it looks like. Carlos Sainz saved. Hallelujah. Oh, wow. Whoever was sending that positive meme energy, thank you very much, because my boy, we're back. We're back, buddy. It's all good. Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, basically everybody else is as you were for the very start of the race. Oh, that is just lovely. Turn 1, incident, no further investigation. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those, like, what do you call it? Just squeezes. You see that all the bloody time. You see it all the time in Monaco, and it's a shame that Sainz lost a set of tyres to a puncture there, but, what can you do? Now, I'm pretty sure this does mean that they will have to pit. It will be a full restart. I'm not sure they're going to keep all 78 laps, but it will be a full restart. That said, if it isn't a full restart, and if that was in fact lap 1, and then they just reset the running order, then could you pit your tyres now and then not have to pit again? It'll be interesting to see. So 24 past the hour now. We should be well into the race, but, had to have a whole lot of silliness to start with. That's the thing about crashes like that. They're all exciting and, oh, wow, look at that for, a few minutes, and then the reality of you're sitting on your ass for the next 40 minutes doing absolutely nothing. So this is Jenson Button and Anthony Davidson play-by-playing the crash of the Sky F1 broadcast. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're just going to reach the same conclusion that I think most people have. Checo's following the middle of the road, Magnussen's on the outside, and then as the road curves around, one meets the other. Game over. It's just a lot of silly shit. Like when you see two cars get together like that and they are right at the arsehole end of the grid, like what's the fucking point? What is the point? I mean, if you're 18th or 19th, you're probably not getting points today anyway. Outside of a minor miracle, you're not going to be getting points. So what's the fucking point of risking your car for silly shit like that? I think K-Mag, you know what, just looking at this replay, I think K-Mag could and should have just backed out of this. I really think he should have backed out of this. He's very far, he was never far enough up besides Checo to really make it work, or to even, I mean, Checo had no idea he was even there, I'm assuming. He probably doesn't think anyone's going to be on that side of him. He's probably looking at Hulkenberg in his mirrors and making sure that he's not going to have a go. Yeah. I mean, Formula One starting at Monaco is, it's ridiculous. You have to have basically 8 sets of eyes looking everywhere all at once. And, I guess the one set of eyes that wasn't looking back there has ended up biting Checo in the arse. Not great. Not great by K-Mag. Now, you know what I've just thought? If the stewards, and I'm thinking that this is probably because it's a big crash, because there's a lot of damage, it could well end up being penalty points for K-Mag. Now, a lot of the times they will let turn or lap one incidents go. Even ones that are a little bit egregious, they'll let him go because they don't want to over police chances, overtakes, attacks, things like that on lap one, because when you start doing that, you really start killing the racing. However, a fuck up like this, where you could say K-Mag should have backed out of this, and okay, Checo looks like he's gotten slow out of turn one, which is why K-Mag thought that he had to go maybe up the straight, but that Red Bull can get back up to speed pretty quick. I'm not sure it's the smartest move out of K-Mag, to be honest. I'm really not. And if the stewards feel like throwing around penalty points, it could mean a race ban, because Magnussen's only got 2 points left, and this looks like it could be too. If the stewards if the stewards are adjudicating that it's his fault, then again, who knows? They could say that it's shared fault and nobody gets points. They could say it's shared fault and everybody gets points. Oh, that's a big hit. That is a big hit for Checo. Jesus. Oh, that has taken a full 3 corners completely off of that car. All right, 28 past the hour. It looks like no word on a restart yet, so it might be another 15 or so minutes at least. So just replays now of Hulkenberg and other. It's like other angles of it. So Hulkenberg, yeah, you see that every now and then, especially in like oval racing, like NASCAR and stuff, where you got guys coming through the scene of a crash and they've got nothing to do with it. They didn't put a car in the wall themselves or anything like that. It's just wrong place, wrong time, and then that's it. Cool. So, the other big news for today, I guess, and I'm just so excited, is the Indy 500. I'm so excited, I can't hide it. And sending all my energy, all my best, you can do it energy to Felix Rosenquist, to Scotty Mack, Pato, Colton Herter. Yeah. I think the thing with the Indy 500 is, I mean, probably aside from Helio Castroneves, who I cannot fucking stand, I'm pretty stoked for any of them to win it, to be honest. Like Callum Ilott would be a good story. Alex Rossi would be a good story. Pato would be a great story. Colton would be a great story. Kyle Kirkwood would be good. Newgarden going back to back would be cool. Graham Rahal would be a great story as well, even though, let's face it, that's not going to happen. Yeah, it's just, what a race it is. I love it. It's fantastic. So another little interesting tidbit, I guess, is Oscar Piastri is going to be having major floor damage now. So any chance that he's going to be able to maybe use his speed and attack Leclerc rather for the lead might be done. I think it might be over already. I mean, he had that. Where was it? I want to say Miami. Where was it? He clattered a curb. Whatever. Either way, Piastri has had this before, where he's had a bit of floor damage and then he just can't quite get it going. No, Verstappen was the one in Miami who had floor damage and didn't quite work out. I mean, you could see just on the replay here, Science, that tyre goes down basically immediately. Like, the tyre pressures aren't quite up to where they should be, and there's just a little bit of it's just easier to slice those piece of shit Pirellis. sliced like bread, and then you just see the sparks start showering out everywhere. Mm-mm. Gonna need a lot of coffee tonight. It's gonna be a very long night. Hopefully, it won't be that much longer with the red flag. So it looks like the fences are almost done now. There we go. Race will resume at 44 minutes past the hour. Thank goodness. Yeah, a big crash like that is generally half an hour, 40 minutes you're looking at for everything to get repaired. Hello. These cars are big and fat now. Like Marlon Brando, they're not as lean as they used to be. They don't really look as good as they used to either. But um, generally now, when they go into a wall, they will do a lot of damage to the wall just because they're so big and so heavy now. Like the wheels are bigger than they used to be. The suspension's bigger than they used to be. The chassis is a lot weightier than it used to be. The engine, the gearbox, all of it. I mean, a lot of these components have gotten lighter over time, but the cars themselves are so big now. Um, yeah, just just means that any time they go into a safer barrier, or sorry, a Tech Pro barrier, or an Armco barrier, or anything like that, it's going to end up doing some damage to the shit. Where a few years ago, it would just sort of bounce off it, you know. So yeah, I mean, long story short, from this red flag, good news for Carlos Sainz because he had absolutely nothing to do with the red flag incident, and his race has actually been saved by it. So good for him. Childhood hero Cristiano Ronaldo for Yuki Tsunoda. Good lad. Good lad. Well, yeah. Yeah. Nah, I'll let it fly. Good lad. Charles Leclerc's bird. I tell you what, looking at half the celebrities on the grid, I am fucking out of touch. I don't know who any of these people are anymore. Absolutely no idea. I'll see the F1 on its socials post. Oh, Leclerc radio. Oh, Charles just asking about the red flag if everyone's alright. Yes, they are. Um, yeah, I'll see F1 will put up on its socials like, hey, we got celebrities at this race because that's their favourite thing now, I guess. It's like the newer Simpsons where they're just obsessed with, hey, look who's here now, look who's here now. Like, yeah, that's great, that's great. Um, fuck, I don't know any of these fucking people. I'll tag someone. Like, who the fuck is this? Click on them and they got about 8 million followers on Insta or whatever. Like, huh, okay, they are somebody, but fuck, I've never heard of them. Just means that I'm old and out of touch. So Charles getting back into his car. That's okay because I'm not out of touch with Formula One. I fucking love this stuff and I'm obsessed with it. This is actually my 25th season watching this sport and I just love it. Red flag to Hamilton. I told you guys, says Lewis Hamilton. Maybe he had a bet that the Haas's wouldn't get through turn one, or lap one rather. Lewis is coming to calm. Gasly Ocon incident under investigation. Fuck, I tell you what, if Ocon, it'll be a standing start. Yep, Bottas radio. Yep, of course it's going to be a standing restart. Um, it's bad for Alpine. If Ocon costs a penalty for that as well, that'll throw. I mean, he's already at the back, but I mean, again, you had two cars right on the cusp, but especially with Carlos Sainz out at turn four. I mean, shit, they had both cars in the points, and why the fuck would you risk it, Esteban Ocon? What are you thinking, buddy? Put your fucking brain back in, dude. Turn it on. Turn the fucking brain on. What are you doing? Ah, no. Well, next time, you know. Tell you what, let me have a word with him. We'll sort it out for next time. Alonso with his new Valvoline coloured helmet. That dude, that Ferrari dude at the back looks like the Fonz so hard. Just makes me chuckle. Oh, K-Mag, having a bit of an interview. Here we go. So he's getting pissed off lately, isn't he? It's okay, Mag, just saying he got pushed into the wall. Saying he didn't get left any space. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, buddy. It is a little bend on the straight, K-Mag, which means the car is naturally going to follow the racing line, which is going to squeeze you. Sorry to say. I like K-Mag, but I want to see him out of Haas, and I want to see him in a decent IndyCar suit. I think that would be a whole lot more fun for everyone involved, especially for me, who likes watching nice, aggressive, fun racing. And K-Mag saying he doesn't know if it's going to be investigated. It will be, buddy, and I think maybe just now it's dawning on him that he won't be turning up to Canada. Well, there's a bloody good chance he won't be turning up to Canada. Now, just having a look at Piastri's floor. It does look like there's been a decent chunk taken out of it. That's not good. Not good. I mean, it's not as big a hole as I thought it would be. That's what she said, but it's not going to help Oscar if he's trying to win today. Actually, here's an interesting tidbit. It's the first time since 2000 that we've had two yellow cars starting second and fourth, with the second driver starting second and the first driver starting fourth. That was actually Trulli and Frentzen back in that day, and that race was won by David Coulthard, who started third. Who's starting third today? Carlos Sainz. I mean, I'll take it. That's copium, but I don't give a shit. I'll fucking smoke as much copium as you got. I want another Carlos Sainz win, and I want it now. Actually, we could end up... there's Carlos on screen right now, watching me. There's a very loud ticking sound going on in the paddock right now, and that is the silly season about to get a little bit silly again. When the clock strikes midnight and the Audi deal closes for Carlos Sainz, it's going to get crazy. Now, I've heard that Carlos has turned down Audi already. I couldn't imagine that he has. I don't think he would. I still get the feeling that he'll go there. In the week, it's emerged that he's been talking with Williams about a seat, potentially for next year. I'm not sure how long that deal would be. I know Alex Albon signed on with Williams for several seasons coming up. I think Sainz would probably want a 1+1 maybe, with the option on his side to leave if he wants. There's a chance that there's a lot more that some of these seats will open up in 26 rather than 25, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I think, to me, it makes sense that Carlos Sainz goes to Audi and just has to suffer through the Sauber year, which sucks. And it fucking sucks for him. It sucks for me, who likes watching him racing for wins, or at least for podiums or things like that. I don't think Williams... they're an interesting bunch because they're trying something. They admitted, James Vowles admitted after Imola that the car's actually quite overweight, and it's costing them about half a second a lap. I like his transparency since he's taken over at Williams at the start of last year. I like his transparency. I like how open he is to the issues that team's had, and the processes that they're doing to try to get back to being competitive in Formula One. Now, I think to be competitive in more modern Formula One, you need a factory backing, or the equivalent of a factory backing. Now, McLaren, technically it's a factory team because McLaren are a road car company as well, but really it's a race team that has Mercedes engines in the back, and then they're getting Honda. No, they're not getting Honda engines. Who are they getting? I think they're keeping Mercedes engines, actually. It's not a works deal. And I remember they went to Honda because it was a works deal, and there's a lot of emphasis on works deal and being a works team. When they signed with Honda, they said that they need, because Mercedes had made their own team in the early 2010s, well, from 2010 onwards, actually. Um, you're right, mate. Lost my train of thought. Something McLaren, Mercedes, Williams. Oh yeah, Carlos Sainz. I hope that he'll get sorted soon. Now, if he says no to Audi, apparently they're going to go for Ocon, who I think would take it, especially after the big fuck up today. He might not want to show his face around Alpine for a little while. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting because if Audi goes for Ocon instead, then Science will have to go somewhere else. And now, if that's Williams, and that means that Alpine has a seat to fill, now will that be Mick Schumacher? Will it be Jack Doohan? Will it be another driver? Haas looks like it has 2 seats now to fill. They might have another seat to fill before the next round, which could be Ollie Behrman, actually, if I'm thinking about it. It could be. Now, Fittipaldi is their reserve driver, and he featured in 2020 for a couple of races after Grosjean had his suicide dive into the fence at Bahrain. But I get the feeling we might end up seeing the Bearman. Now, the Bearman's been in the news a lot this year. In fact, he was all over social media last year, with people, last month rather. Saw a whole lot of women saying would they rather be in the woods with a man or a bear or a bear man. Ha ha ha. But Gabriele Mini there, or you know what, Gabriele Mini might end up. No, he's still too young. I don't think he's gonna make it. Oh, there's Jack Doohan. He's in with a shout for the seats maybe next year. Like I was just saying, maybe it could be somebody completely out of the blue. Who knows? Bottas as well is another name that I've heard being thrown around. Bottas might end up back at Williams after many years away. I think it would end up being 8 or 9 seasons since he's been there, or they could end up going for, it could end up being somebody else instead. Anyway, silly season is still ticking along. It's gone a little bit quiet in the last few weeks, but it will start ramping up because apparently Audi has a deadline of today. This is the race. This is the race weekend. I imagine that they've got a whole lot of big wigs from Audi up and at the race, and they would probably want to get a deal signed with Carlos Sainz. If he doesn't sign with them, then they're going to have to move on. I'm guessing that they will move on pretty quickly because they're going to have to start scooping these drivers up before they all become unavailable, because once his dominance start falling, they start falling very rapidly. Cars are underway again. So, formation lap, here we go. So it is 44 minutes past the hour, and the cars are back on track. They'll be coming around. I think this counts as the formation lap, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think they come back to the grid and then get going. I'm pretty sure this is the formation lap and then they just line up. It's late at night, my brain is failing me, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. You see the Aston Martin Stroll just exiting the pits while Leclerc is exiting the tunnel, so there's a lot of space between these cars, goodness me. A whole lot of space, it's like half the track. And they're still just getting out of the pits. And Charles Leclerc's basically at the swimming pool now. The way the Williams has been described by James Vowles, Bottas would probably find lunch that he left in the fridge when he left. You know, probably. Like you joke, but you know what? It's probably not far from that. I mean, Jos Capito was saying as well, George Russell's alluded to it in the past before as well, that Williams has a lot of old heads stuck in their ways who are basically doing things the same since the Frank and Patrick Head days of Williams. I'm not sure what the fuck they're actually going to get out of that team, to be honest. They don't have factory backing, as half the cars are on the grid, just about pulled up to their grid slots, and Joe, who will be starting last, is exiting the tunnel, so they're going to be sitting on the grid for a very long time here. Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, and now Lando Norris all parked up, and Joe Guan Yu is just exiting Tabak. Good grief. God, they are going to be on the grid for a long time. Goodness me. I think this is the Sauber mindset. Just have the other cars melt themselves on the grid, and then they'll win a 1-2 easily. Joe pulls up at the back. Here we go. So the grid is set. We are back underway. 1 light, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Go. Another good start by the Ferraris, another good start by the McLarens. It looks just like last time, only Verstappen's actually got a better start this time. Now what's Hamilton got to do? He's going to back out of it again. A little bit less cars involved this time, so a little bit less chance that it all goes wrong. Looks like everybody's gotten through the first couple of corners just fine this time. And it's all very much as you were. A little bit of side-by-side through our Massenet just there. Oh, very, very, very squeezed at the back there. Through the hairpin. And I think that's basically it. Okay, so we're running lap 3 at least. So running lap 3. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, and Gasly. So nobody really made any places on that start, which I wasn't really expecting them to, because this is a very, very difficult place to start a race. Now coming around the line, coming around the final corner rather, across the line for lap 1. And the running order is as I just described, and it looks like everybody's gotten through this just fine. Now, it looks like everybody's changed their tyres then, so I'm not sure if they're going to have to change them again. I'm not sure if they'll have to. I think we could, I mean, I get the feeling you might have somebody who tries to just go to the end on these sets of tyres, because we've seen over the years, even when a car like ditches its turbo, it still cannot be passed here because the cars are just so bloody big now. But going to be very interesting if somebody doesn't pit from here on in. The red flag negating Ferrari pit tactic is a godsend for Leclerc. Fuck, I tell you what. This could be it. This could be it. I mean, Leclerc's never had a happy home race before. He's had a few home poles, but he's never had a happy home race. But this could be the day. I mean, shit, I don't want to put the curse on him, but fuck. I don't think... he's leading after lap 4. I don't think he will ever get a better shot at this, and Verstappen is down in 6th. This could be it. I'll tell you what, Piastri's actually doing well as well, up there in 2nd. I think Piastri's actually had a bit of bad luck to not be running up higher over the last few races. I think he's shown actually quite well. The 1 lap speed at least has been phenomenal. Which is why he's 2nd this race and not 4th like Lando Norris. That said, Lando usually gets to turn it up a whole lot more in the race. Been very impressed by Lando Norris this year. I'm very impressed. Seems like he's really taken that next step into just consistently delivering. So a replay of the start here. It all looks pretty... Yeah, it all looks pretty good. It doesn't look like anybody really fluffed their start, at least not from the first 6 or 7 rows. It's like Sargent's dropped a position there, but I think that's about all, really. Yeah, And you know what? I've just noticed that Ocon didn't even take the restart. So, fuck, buddy, you really fucked that up, didn't you? I mean, I saw him walking around during the red flag, but I just assumed he'd get back into his car. I guess not. So it looks like the top three are starting to gap. Lando Norris is 2.4 seconds back from leader Charles Leclerc. So the top three are only about a second separated from each other. About half a second from each other and a second overall. Norris is a little bit further back. Sainz Piastri incident collision noted. So that would be from the very start of the race. I couldn't imagine they're going to penalise Sainz. Couldn't imagine. I really couldn't. Not for that little love tap. Unless it's something else that I missed entirely, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. But Norris is just kind of hanging on to these top three. I think he's just more saving the tyres. Maybe he might actually be going the whole race without pitting. That said, that's a long way to go actually on one set of tyres. So they might just end up, all of these teams, maybe they could throw a Hail Mary and not pit. But I get the feeling they're all just basically going to do the opposite strategy of whatever they were running before. It's a long way to go for tyres, though. That is a very long way. Now, this track isn't the harshest on its tyres, but they are Pirellis, so you know they're not going to last. Either way, Russell's falling a bit back, and that means Verstappen's falling back as well. Oscar, we see the impact of the damage. Look like the aero balance is sensible at least. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of damage to Piastri, but it would be enough to really it'd be enough to stick in his craw. Fuck with his race. It's a shame. Looks like Sainz has just dropped back a little bit there. No, I don't think that's a problem there. I think he's just fucked up that little bit of his lap. So now crossing the line onto lap 8, Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri trading fastest laps at the front. Fuck, you know what? I get the feeling a whole lot of guys are trying to not pit now. Now this. So there's no threat of weather, and if there's no pit stops, I know, right? If there's no threat of pit stops or no threat of weather, this could be all sorts of processional. Fuck, I pray that it's not. See, what kind of stinks is Perez coming from the back was one of the interest points of this race. It's gone already, which is a real shame. Oh. Love this angle. So Carlos Sainz fastest lap here. Love this angle right on the nose cone of Carlos Sainz. Really emphasizes just how quick some of these cars are going. I say some of these cars because we've still got the two Saubers and Logan Sargent back there. So, working lap 9, so we're about 10%, just over 10% through the race. which is incredible considering it's been nearly a fucking hour since the first lights out. But I think the lap should start to melt away from here on in. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, basically as we all expected, but without Checo. There's Carlos Sainz Sr. sitting looking incredulous in the Ferrari lounge. Not even the garage, really. It's a unique place, the Monaco pit setup that they've got here. There's no real team. What do you call it? The boxes that they usually put up along the pit wall. There's none of them here because there's no room for them. Not since they redid the pits in 2003. Now they're all sat above the garages with all their computer screens and all of that shit up there. Which means it's a weird setup in Monaco, which means that we get shots of Carlos Sainz Sr. in a lazy boy watching his fella do his thing. Anyway, what was I saying? It's lap 10. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, basically as we all expected. Tsunoda in 8th. Again, very, very strong showing by Tsunoda. Let's see if he can keep it up. He's right on the back of Lewis Hamilton. In fact, Hamilton's starting to have a little bit of a traffic jam behind him. And in that traffic jam behind Tsunoda is Albon and then Pierre Gasly. So good for Albon, good for Gasly. Albon looking like he's on for his first points of the year. Gasly looking like he's on for his first points of the year. And just outside the points, 11th and 12th, are the Aston Martins. Which is, I wouldn't have picked them as being an outside the points team at this race, or really at any of the races. They are allegedly, sorry, unfold my legs. They are allegedly a top 5 team. But they certainly haven't been racing like one the last couple of races. The last couple of Grands Prix. So we'll see what Aston Martin can do from here. They're... the new bits that they put in their car, they are working. They're just not that quick. In fact, the car itself just isn't that quick right now. Verstappen Radio, not entirely sure why Russell is going so slowly. He's just giving them a free pit stop gap eventually. But yeah, keep it there for the moment. I know why he's going slow. It's because he's out to troll you, I guess. I don't think Russell really... I mean, it probably looks to Red Bull like Russell is holding him up deliberately. He's not. That's just how quick the Mercedes is. It's just not that fast this year. Just like it wasn't last year, just like it wasn't the year before. It's actually kind of surprising, to be honest, that Mercedes is now entering its 3rd year. They had one win in Brazil in 22, and apart from that, they have not really threatened to win at all. I can't believe that. I mean, they were so dominant for so long, and I think they've just had so much brain drain out of that team. They've had a whole lot of guys get poached off of there. It's I think they look like they're just running short of ideas. This is their 3rd Russell Radio. I recommend about 3 seconds of the pocket here, just pootling around at the moment. We're getting nothing from driving faster at this stage. Yeah, so he's just looking after his tyres, not really doing a whole lot. I don't think Russell or Mercedes really care what Verstappen's race plan was. I really don't think they give a shit. Okay, so I'll put it this way. What we're getting today is the sprint. Only it's a Grand Prix length sprint, in that there's probably going to be no pit stops. And here we see fundamentally a couple of things. These cars are so big that they can't properly race here anymore. But I'm willing to forgive that because the lap is so spectacular. I don't really care about the celebrities or any of that sort of shit, but when the walls are that close and qualifying is so much fun, I think I can forgive a bit of a processional race. But one other thing is, these cars can't really race like I think like they're being sold that they can. Especially with sprint racing, when you hear all action and all that sort of shit. Maybe at other tracks There's a bit more action than this, but oh, here we go. Speaking of no pits, it looks like Sauber are maybe going to make a pit stop. Now, would that be for Bottas, who's on the mediums, or Joe, who's running last and on the hards? I mean, it could be Bottas and then they run him on hards to the end, or it could be Joe and they put him on mediums and see if they can goad anybody else into stopping. The thing is, it doesn't really matter what anybody's doing strategy-wise here. You could have the slowest tyres in existence. They could be running the Pirellis that they were running last time out on these cars right now. There's just no room to get by. Which, you know, is what it is, I guess. That said, it's still a fun track, and I am a fella who is sad enough to just keep watching the shit. Now, lap 14, you know, the first half of this race seems to really drag, but then the second half will just fly by in a flash. I think the closer we get to Indy 500 time. Oh no, I was gonna say before until I got interrupted. Lewis Hamilton seems very disgruntled. He was very disgruntled after qualifying, um, saying he's not expecting to get ahead of George for many more qualifying sessions through the rest of the year, and he's not. I don't think he's wrong. I don't think Mercedes are going to be all that keen to give him 100% support, even if they say they will. They're going to have to start doing things like shutting him out of tech meetings. Not that I don't think Mercedes has a single idea that Ferrari would want to adopt, technically, but they're going to have to start shutting him out of things like tech meetings and things like that. Even Adrian Newey at Red Bull has started to get shut out of meetings and things like that when it comes to next year's cars or developments or things like that, because these guys are all very secretive, and they want to play all their cards close to their chest. I haven't seen Lewis Hamilton this consistently downbeat maybe since 2011. I mean, he just doesn't look happy. He doesn't look happy at all. And it's, I mean, announcing the Ferrari deal with an entire season to go is, you know, it's bold. I'll give it that. It's an adventure, but it's also, it's just kind of dooming him into this no man's land. Like, he's not really. It's a bit of a dead rubber this season for him. He can't really do a whole lot with it. They're not going to compete for wins. It's very unlikely Mercedes is going to compete for wins. It's very unlikely they'll put anything on the car that will magic bullet its way back to the top, like McLaren seems to have done since last year. I think fundamentally there is something very, very wrong with that car, and they just can't quite wrap their heads around it now. I don't think that they've got the technical minds still at the team who are able to do this for them. Either they don't have enough of them, or they don't have good enough ones. Um, which means Lewis is just basically on a hiding to nothing for the next few months until he goes to Ferrari. And it will be interesting to see him at Ferrari alongside Charles Leclerc, because he's never really established his absolute authority over George Russell the entire time that they've been there together. It's a shame that they were never fighting for a championship against each other, because that would have been a lot of fun. Oh, and it is Bottas the pits, after all, so they're getting him off the mediums, putting him on the hards, and away he goes. So, the pit stop, I mean, technically everybody stopped in this race. Technically, that's a second stop. That is the first real pit stop. Well, they haven't stopped, they've changed their tyres. So that's the first real pit stop that we've got that will put Bottas out. And the irony being that was actually a pretty decent stop out of Sauber just now. Well, it's a shame. It's a real shame. Should be interesting to see where Bottas ends up next year, if he stays in Formula One. And he could. I think if Science does end up going with Williams, Because it seems like Bottas is out of Sauber. Um, I don't know if they just want a completely clean slate or they just haven't been happy with what they've seen out of him, which I think is probably a bit harsh if that is the case, because he's been fighting a very, very mediocre car since about, well, 6 months after he first joined the team. They had a great car to start with. Oh, oh, there we go. They had a great car to start with in 22 when he first joined the team. I remember he was consistently qualifying like top 6, top 8, top 6 sort of things, and then that car just took a wrong turn and everybody else took a right turn, and it's just never recovered from there. In fact, every car that they've launched since then, 23 and 24, it just gets worse and worse. So it's a shame. Actually, I was talking to a fella I know about where potentially Joe Guan Yu could end up next year. I'm not sure I see him, to be honest. I've heard that he might... Oh, Science Radio. Charles managing, I guess, because that was close with Piastri. One lap he might send it. So Science is saying he's going too slow. Leclerc's going too slow and Piastri might actually try to pass him. I'm not sure. Like, Piastri's 3/10 behind him as we work lap 18. 3/10. But I think what Leclerc might be doing is just trying to goad him into following too closely to sort of take the edge off of Piastri's tyres. Because you are really risking, especially lap 18. You know, if this were lap 70, you might think about just sending it and see what happens. But lap 18, you're probably not going to send it. You're probably not. You stand to lose a whole lot. Especially Oscar. Oh, Bottas fastest lap then. That is quick. That's very quick, actually, out of Bottas. So, much faster. Much faster. 4 seconds faster. Just about 4 seconds faster. Phew. So he's giving the other drivers something to think about. The only thing is, it's Monaco. He can do that until he catches the pack, and then he's sort of stuck. Just like Piastri is stuck right now behind Charles Leclerc. And it doesn't matter if he's following him closely, because it's unlikely Oscar's going to send it, because you got so much to lose here. I mean, if you send it and you pull it off, you look great. You look absolutely brilliant. But you have to pull it off. You have to be able to make the pass stick. If you cannot make the pass stick, then you look like an absolute tit. And you've completely fucked your race car, fucked your weekend, fucked your reputation, fucked your pride, fucked your confidence, and basically the only thing that's left is to fuck yourself. And look at Piastri. He's having a little look. Just a little sock right at the corner where Gasly and Ocon had their coming together before. I'm not sure that's really a good place to be doing that. The thing is, if Leclerc closes the door, I mean, there's basically nowhere for Piastri to go. I'm liking the 93 Benetton livery McLaren are running. Yeah. You know, I like those colours, actually. I think it's very similar to the 93 Benetton, actually, now that you mention it. Or the, definitely the, 92 Benetton. Is, Carlos Sainz's partner. I didn't realise he had one. Good for you, buddy. I miss yellow cars. I gotta say, I really do miss yellow cars. I miss the ones that Jordan used to run. Renault did it properly. I think like an all-yellow car, they only did it once in 2016. Well, since they came back to the sport, that is. I like these things. You know, they pop, they look good, they really get your attention, a yellow car, especially a yellow race car. It looks fast. It looks fast like a red car looks fast. And it's a shame that nobody... it's just a shame that nobody really tends to run these things. Because I think back to the Jordans, and I loved the look of those cars. They were just great. They really were, and especially a year like this year when half the cars are missing paint, half the cars are just black and blue. Like here we've got a blue Williams against a blue Visa Cash App, at least blue from the back. Like it looks like the same fucking car, even though it's a different team. Ahead of it, and then behind this battle also is the blue and mostly black Alpine as well. Then you got like what, the black Saubers, the mostly black Mercedes. Yeah, like just a black team looks alright. You know what I mean? Like a car or a team that's running black. Like when Mercedes rocked up with black cars in 2020, it was a real head turner. Like, oh, that's a bit different. We haven't done that in a long time. Goodness me. But I mean, nothing is as bad, I think, as the grey liveries the Haas used to run. I mean, fucking hell. A car that just looks so boring. You know what I mean? The Ferrari always looks good because it pops. Love that red. Looks great. Even when they do a darker red or a bit of a lighter red or whatever, it still looks good. It still pops. A yellow car pops. And it's a shame. An orange car also pops. And an orange and black car can look good. I remember the arrows used to look great back in the day. It's just a shame that no teams tend to run the yellow cars anymore because they looked so lovely. Oh well, who knows? Maybe next year. Actually, I'm not sure what colours Audi would be running, because they usually run what, red, silver, sort of like a red, silver, white sort of thing. But it couldn't be as bland as Toyota used to do it. It'd have to be a bit better than that. The thing is, the Le Mans car liveries lately are just insane. They're like a graphic design nightmare. They look like they make the Toyota Formula One liveries look like the fucking West McLarens. Like they're just a total mishmash. I think having like you remember there were, who was it? It was Chelsea in the Premier League ran a football kit a couple of years ago which had like clashing patterns on it. I think half the they looked fucking dog shit, and half the Le Mans teams now are running liveries that look like that, and it's just fucking god awful. And it's a trend, unfortunately, that spilled into Toyota's rally team as well. Not having it. So fuck it, because it's lap 23 and there's basically nothing going on, I'm just going to start ranting. NASCAR a couple of weeks ago did its race at Darlington, and it's the throwback. And I'm not saying we should do a throwback weekend in Formula One. In fact, I don't want that, because that's fucking stupid. This Santa livery, that's fine, it's a one-off, whatever. And it's supposed to be celebrating him, celebrating the man himself, which is why it's the colour of his helmet. They already went through, they paraded his fucking corpse like a puppet, like they tend to do every year at the start of May, which I've gotten to the point where I like what McLaren are doing this week, because it's more of a celebration of the guy and who he was and all of that, and they've come to the track where he was synonymous for being just so crazy good. He really was Mr. Monaco. He totally took that mantle from Graham Hill and ran with it. He was phenomenal here, and it's been 30 years since he died, and this is a nice way to celebrate his life. The way that F1 exhumes him every year for May 1st, never for his birthday or anything like that, but always for May 1st, for the day that he died. To me, it's gotten to the point, especially this year when they're starting to flog Senna merchandise and shit. I mean, they do it all the time, but I don't know, something about this year just sort of, I just thought it was a bit bad taste. Like, rest in peace, but he'll never rest because they can't stop digging him up to parade him around, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, he was an icon, he was one of the best. He was killed at the height. but they don't. And I know it's different um, than say Jim Clark or Jochen Rindt because people were watching Senna on TV and they weren't watching Rindt or Clark on TV or Graham Hill on TV and that sort of stuff. Um, so you get a little bit closer, I guess, when you're just constantly watching them on television. You feel a little bit closer to these guys and maybe you feel a bit more of an affinity to them rather than if you're just watching their results and seeing their picture in a paper as it used to be back in the day before streaming or things like that. But just the way they keep parading this fucking poor guy around years after he's pegged it, I don't know, just something about it seems a bit morbid to me. I mean, I could understand it for the big anniversaries. Maybe 30 is a big anniversary, I don't know, but it seems like they're doing this every fucking year. I remember 10 years passed, so that was big, but that's when it turns into double digits, that's usually a big thing. 10 years, ooh, that's a decade. They've even got a word for it, the decade, bam, 10 digits, 10 fingers, whatever. That makes sense. 25 years, again, that's like a quarter century, that's a nice little thing, but when they're like, oh, it's been 28 years, so let's dig him up again and parade him around, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, just a thought that I had. I'm just starting to, it's getting a little bit beyond, 30 years is a very long time since somebody died, and I don't remember them, Formula One in general, parading Jochen Rindt around in 2000. I don't remember them doing this sort of shit with other guys, even with Nicky Lauda, who died, was it 5 years ago, I think, this month, and he was a three-time champion as well, and he was a long time contributor to the sport, champion driver. He was a champion team, what was it, Mercedes, not quite the team boss light. His Jaguar time, let's not talk about that, but he also spent time at Ferrari and in their management structure and things like that, so they're not really parading him around in the same with the same sort of fervor. Anyway, I think I'm just ranting now, but you get what I mean. So anyway, Bottas still has the fastest lap and he's caught right up to Joe Guan Yu, and just like I said, he can't really go much further than that, so I'm not sure really what the point of that was, unless they just think that nobody else is going to pit and the fastest lap is theirs for the rest of the race. They were on board with Gasly, having a look at Albon, not quite anywhere to make the move. Oh! No, that's a replay. Okay. Jesus Christ. I thought that they'd just, gone live. I thought that he'd done the same fucking move with Albon. Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's Ocon. Alright, well, that was fun for a second. I had that yesterday. I was watching the MotoGP. Watching on board with Pecco Bagnaia and his little onboard up in the timing tower when he fell off at the end of, halfway through the last lap from the lead, and God, I thought maybe lightning had struck twice. Not the leader this time, of course, but same sort of deal now. Bottas now on 10 lap old tyres has finally caught this pack, and he does look quick, and I do wonder if they're going to tell Joe Guan Yu to move out of his way, maybe orchestrate a pass and then see if he can put any pressure on Sargent. But again, if we're talking about 14th place for Bottas here, if it all goes well, 14th, maybe 13th, not sure about that, but anything else, can he get past Alonso? Could he get past Stroll? Or I don't even know if he'd want to have a go. Gasly too. So, anyway, working lap 28. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, that's your top four. Has not changed. Then Russell, 13, nearly 14 seconds now behind Norris. That's a very long way. Then Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly. I think the only real battle of note right now, the top four are quite close, but I don't think they're really going to have a go at each other because there's too much to lose at this stage of the race. They're trying to pressure each other, of course, all the time into making a mistake, but Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, they generally are pretty okay. I know they all have mistakes in them, sort of, but they're also still not really the finished product, any of them. So I know it's a processional race, isn't it? Oh, I've already got one guy down here who's starting to give up. It's okay. I think I'm just going to stay hyped all evening because the Indy 500 is on the way. It's like waiting for Father Christmas. It's like waiting for Father Christmas when you know he's bringing you a new console and all the games that your young ass can't afford to buy yourself. Anyway, a nice little battle behind Tsunoda. So Albon is having a decent look, staying within DRS. Not that DRS really means a whole lot here. Now Alonso's dropping quite back from Stroll. And he's starting to... I wonder if Alonso's going to maybe try to back everybody up and give Stroll a free pit stop here. Because Alonso is like the anti-Ocon in that he is generally a decent teammate. At the very least, he's been a very decent teammate to Lance. Very, very decent. He's so full of praise for the guy. Like a proud dad. Maybe not as proud as he was watching Nicholas Solov win the F3 sprint race yesterday. Which, yes, it's a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but if you also haven't seen it, fuck you. Who wins the 500? Oh, now, the 500 is very fun because it is basically the anti-Monaco. Monaco is either the pole sitter, second or third. And once in a blue moon, you'll get an Olivier Panis win or something like that. But generally, it's one of the top three. Is that McLaren bottoming out or is it smoking? I think it's just bottoming out up the hill. Okay, all good. Who wins the 500? The thing is, there is like half that field has a decent shot of winning it. I'd say the best shot of winning it is probably one of the Penske's. Because they're starting top three as well. So Scotty Mack, Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, they're all a good shout, but also a good shout is, Kyle Larson. It's his first IndyCar race, his first Indy 500, but he is in a very good car. And we saw Kurt Busch do the same thing 10 years ago when he had an Andretti car. He really hustled that thing and he finished, I think, 6th that day. I mean, it's not the first time Kyle Larson has raced at Indy Motor Speedway. See the first signs of the front left graining on Science, just abrasion for you. That's Norris radio. I don't think it matters. I mean, I don't see Norris sending it. Not at this point of the race. Give it another 30, 40 laps and he might think about sending it, but this right now is just, this is the getting through it part of the race. Anyway, winning the 500, Andy the Penske's, Colton Herta, Kyle Larson, Kyle Kirkwood, even starting further back, I think Scott Dixon's starting like 21st or 22nd today. He's still a good chance to win the race. And that Ganassi car is quick. Alex Palou as well has come close. Even guys like Rinus VK, he's always been good there. I think he's starting his lowest starting position ever at Indy, which is 8th. I think 7th or 8th. He's always good there. Hunter Ray is another one who's very interesting because he's in a one-off team. He's at Ryan Bold, but he's very quick. He made the Fast 12 again. Santino Ferrucci is another good one, especially now that Lando Norris just a little love tap with the wall at Sandevot. Now that wasn't the smoke I saw. I think whatever I saw coming up there was just bottoming out. Just your regular old dragging your ass along the floor like a dog with worms. Anyway, honestly, I think almost anybody could win it, and that's the fun part about Indy. Like you have absolutely no idea. Felix Rosenquist could win it. I mean, Maya Shank won it a couple of years ago with Castroneves. Castroneves himself could win it. Fuck, I hope not, but Castroneves could win it. Felix could win it. Callum Ilott, that'd be a great story, you know, because he's not going to be in that car beyond the Indy 500. Uh, Dio Porcher is getting that seat for the rest of the season, so I mean that's where he ends up. In fact, it's kind of interesting that Porcher never even entered the conversation for Audi. He just flat out, like Dragovic, totally ignored, completely forgotten by the Formula One paddock, forgotten by time. You know, once you fall out of favour in Formula One, you never really get back. Never really. You're like a jobber wrestler. Like, once you start falling out of favour, you're just basically fucking gone forever. Anyway, um, God, it's the funnest thing about the Indy 500. All of these guys, all of them could win. Alex Rossi could win. Pato O'Ward is a big shot to win. And he's come close before. He came close last year. Marcus Ericsson is starting way, way, way at the back. An outside chance, but he could get it done. He could get it done. There's a whole lot of places to pass. There's a whole lot of laps to get through. I cannot fucking wait. I really want to see. I want to see what Felix can do because I love the guy. I want to see what Ferrucci can do. I want to see what Herder can do. I want to see what Kirkwood can do. I want to see what O'Ward can do. I don't know. And okay, I just want to point out there was a little insert in the tunnel, a fucking digital bees setup where they got Ayrton Senna driving laps in Monaco. At some point, this tribute shit to me has crossed the line into morbid fascination, and I'm not that comfortable with it. Not that my opinion counts for shit, but yeah, no, I'm just not that. I just don't really feel that keen on seeing what I feel is an icon being paraded through the streets on puppet strings to tug at the heartstrings of fans to then go buy a Senna tribute t-shirt or some shit. I don't know, maybe it's just me being very cynical, but this is what I see and I'm not very happy with it. So, science saying that tyres are starting to grind for anyone. See, the thing is, potentially everybody could stay out in this race and they don't have to pit as long as the tyres don't fall apart. I mean, Bottas is on brand new tyres and he's stuck behind Joe. And I don't even think that they're going to make. I mean, he's even keeping a little bit of distance, probably to keep his tyres in better nick behind Joe Guanyu there. But if you pit, like let's say Leclerc or Sainz or Piastri or Norris, if any of them pit, they will come out behind Lewis Hamilton. There's a nice little window behind Lewis Hamilton where they will come out in clean air. The thing is, all it takes is for Piastri to pit and then nobody else to pit for the rest of the race. And they could do that. And then Piastri goes from a solid second to seventh. And for what? I mean, if you could guarantee, like if the tyres were probably not going to last, or structurally if they weren't going to last, or if you could guarantee that everybody else is going to pit, then okay, maybe we could do that. I think one thing they should do is have not just a mandatory tyre change, but a mandatory pit stop tyre change, a mandatory tyre change during green flag or yellow flag racing. I think if you're going to change the tyres under the red flag, which is, again, I think it's fine, especially if you've got certain cars that are driving through debris fields that might end up cutting their Pirellis in half. You want to be able to change the tyres for that without incurring a penalty, but I mean, we saw it at Australia in 20... Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year, where Albon had his big crash. And what was looking like an interesting race turned into a total procession until that fucking farce at the end. But it turned into a complete procession because everybody got their pit stops done during the red flag, and then there's nothing left to do. Other than that, you just start saying mandating you must run soft, medium, and hard during the race, which I'm not sure you really want to go down that route. So, TLDR, basically what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if the tyres are graining, because there's nowhere to fucking pass, and it doesn't matter if you'd prefer a pit stop, because if you are the only one who pits, you look like an absolute silly cunt when you send yourself right to the back, and nobody else pits, and they all get to the end just fine. Pardon me. And here we are, 31 minutes past the hour. This race is probably would have been run by now. My throat would be getting almost a rest by now, but you know, I like a hooker at a truck stop, I'm gonna keep going no matter if my throat's killing me. I like that helmet that Alonso's running. It's not really anything, it's just a Valvoline helmet, which is kind of strange. You know. It's not even like it's a one-off. Like, I know like Checo Perez did a Black Panther helmet, for instance. And there's a lot of themed helmets because they race in Vegas. Everybody wants to do a Vegas themed helmet or a Japan themed helmet, whether it's Suzuka or anything like that. But it's very rare that we get just a sponsor one-off. I mean, nothing comes to mind. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before, but it is very rare that you get a one-off helmet that is just a sponsor, not a charity, not an event or anything like that, just Valvoline. I mean, I like it. I like the colors. I love, actually, the I think I've still got it around here somewhere, maybe. It was on my streams last year. Gilles de Ferran, there it is, out in center again. Gilles de Ferran IndyCar, well, kart, champ car, IndyCar, whatever you want to call it, from like 98, I think. And that ran in Valvoline colors. I think that was Walker Racing back then. And that looked phenomenal. I love just the shade of red, the blue, the white, it all meshes together, you know. Red, white, and blue. What a color combination. It would look great on a flag, I bet. But it works. Just look at that Visa Cash App RB doing the same sort of color scheme. It looks nice. Something about that color scheme is just so nice to look at. It must just be the right combination biologically. You know, it just triggers something in here. It's great. That's why those colors appear on almost every flag you can imagine. Anyway, working lap 39. We are lap 38. We are almost halfway through the race. Almost halfway through. And from now it starts getting, I think, maybe a little bit more interesting. Because now you've got, like I was saying, you've got to really start weighing, do you end up pitting? And if you pit, will anybody else follow you? But if you pit and nobody else follows you, how hard do you want to send it? Because by this point in the race, I mean, Bottas pitted very early on. There's after Leclerc in the Ferrari pit crew, in the Ferrari pit box rather, looking at his brother. Now, Arthur Leclerc, I think, ended up in World Endurance Championship. I'm pretty sure he's running, I can't remember if he's running hypercars or GTs or something, but I'm pretty sure he's still part of the Ferrari driver group. In fact, he was part of the the testing for the wheel covers, the rain wheel covers that they were testing like a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, which they've since abandoned, which I could have told them from the fucking start it wouldn't work. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on stream that it wouldn't work, that it's the downforce generated by the cars that flicks so much spray up, which is why there is so much spray nowadays, because there is so much downforce in these cars, even compared to, say, 20 years ago. It's certainly not Pirelli that's fucking responsible for all of that. So this is Alonso. They're really holding everybody up. Aha, okay. And here's the other interesting bit. Now the leaders are starting to catch the end of the field. And what we've got here is Alonso, Ricciardo, Sargent, Joe, and Bottas. Leclerc, radio. If you can, we need to slow down a bit, preventing McLaren to have a pit stop window. Okay, so they're trying to back McLaren back into Russell. They don't want to get too far away from George Russell, because if McLaren pits now, they come up behind George Russell, they come up behind Max Verstappen, they could come out behind Lewis Hamilton. who again only don't need to pit to stay ahead of him. It probably would help if they maybe stay a little bit further away from this traffic as well, because you never know what's going to happen there. But that is 5 cars all running nose to tail, with the top 4 approaching them very, very quickly here. This is shades of 2011 actually, when we had Alonso and Hamilton chasing down Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull right near the end of the race, and right ahead of them was, I think, 4 or 5 cars all duking it out, which ended up in a big Maldonado crash at the swimming pool. Actually, that was a great Indy 500 after that race as well, so let's hope history repeats. Anyway, lap 40, Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon and Gasly. I don't think we have had, apart from Bottas pitting, I don't think we've had a single change of position this entire time. And Bottas is really slowing down here. He's really coming off the end of this. I guess his tyres just don't like getting close to those cars ahead of him. It doesn't take a lot to upset a Pirelli tyre. In fact, Bottas is now pulling right alongside and is letting Leclerc through. But is he going to be able to let the McLaren through? No. He's gotten in between Leclerc and Piastri, so good news for Charles Leclerc. Good news for Charles Leclerc, and that's also put Piastri that bit closer to Russell and Verstappen, which means that a pit stop potentially is still out of reach now. Which means Bottas is the first car to go a lap down, which means if there is a safety car, we have to wait a little bit longer for a restart, because we will have traffic to unlap. Again, that's if we get a safety car, and considering Checo, Ocon and K-Mag are all out of the race, there's a much reduced chance that we will end up getting a safety car. I mean, shit, we still got Stroll, so, you know, anything's possible, but... So this traffic is really starting to mess with the top 3 here. Well, the top 4, really. It's all a little bit of a mess. I mean, Monaco, it is this way. I wonder if the Sainz is going to have flashbacks to 2022. Yes, it was 2022 when it started wet and ended up drying. And Sainz could have won that race. I remember he was telling the Ferrari pit crew, no, I shall not pit. I won't do what you tell me, because you guys are, for the most part, completely fucking clueless. And it was just catching, I think it was Latifi that day, coming out of the pits, that really ruined his chance at winning. Speaking of Carlos Sainz, there's a replay of him in the swimming pool, going very, very close to the wall. In fact, just giving it a little suck. Just a wee smooch. Yeah. Now, I don't think these guys are really... It's a little bit of a mess getting through all this traffic, but there's not much you can do when you come up against 5 cars going a lap down, all basically running nose to tail, trying to get out of each other's way. It's very difficult. And it looks like nobody really was able to take advantage and put a surprise move on. Oh, looks like Tsunoda, though, could have a go at Alonso here, but he's going to be on the outside for Casino Square. He's not going to get it done, but can he send it into Mirabeau? That's going to be a very brave move. Not Tsunoda, sorry, it's Daniel Ricciardo. The old master is sending it, actually. Of course it's Daniel Ricciardo. Tsunoda's in the points. Oh, Stroll's in the pits. Here we go. So 21 seconds back to Alonso. So I think Stroll is going to avoid. Oh, he's going to come out right in the middle of everybody who's trying to lap him, but that's okay because that's science. And then Norris will pass him up the hill, and then oh, stay away, Lance. There you go, no problem. Well done, Mr. Stroll. Stays out of the way, and now he doesn't have to lose time. He doesn't have to lose time getting out of the way of the leaders. So good work, very good work by Lance Stroll there. The thing is, he's still about a pit stop behind Pierre Gasly, so we'll see. But he will be catching Pierre Gasly very, very quickly. So one thing that he's done now is Albon, definitely Gasly, maybe Albon, depending on how many, pardon me, laps that Williams might want to keep Albon out if they're going to pit him. That might be enough to get Stroll into the pits. Into the points, rather. It might be enough to get Stroll into the points. If Gasly pits, I think he'll come out behind. It'll be touch and go, but I think he'll come out behind. And if Stroll can keep on the pace, he might be able to catch up with Albon as well. Yes, are you excited for the Indy 500 as well? It's got two big race fans down here, one of who's been asleep for 40 minutes, and I don't blame him. Wait. Just something about a cat, when it wants attention, it just will not leave you alone. Ah, bless it, you cute little fuzzball demon. Get away from there. Come on. So, meanwhile, Russell, because of all that traffic, Russell has gone straight back into the pit window of the top four cars. And Verstappen and Hamilton have followed him. So the Mercedes, the Red Bull, and the Mercedes have basically... Should Matt pit to undercut Russell? He could, but again, that depends. If Max pits, Hamilton will jump him, and all Mercedes has to do is just not pit. And we're, what is it, 32 laps, I think, to the end of the race. It is conceivable that they could make it. I mean, the tyres are going to be absolutely destroyed by the end. It could also be near the end of the race we start maybe potentially having a tyre or two go down. I mean, there's not many corners that demand a lot of the tyres. Not like, say, a Silverstone or a Spa where you've got the Pouon corner, a Blanchimont or Cops and the S's and things like that. Generally, the high speed change of directions where you're demanding a lot from the tyres. And this track just basically has none of them. It's all very slow corners, just mostly accelerate, brake, and that's about it. I think probably Tabac, maybe Massenet. The swimming pool a little bit, but that's very slight. You know, that's not like an elongated long time of turning on these wheels. You know, it's a little bit, you demand a bit of it going left, right, or rather, yeah, left, right, and then right, left. But it's not like going through, say, Pouon, where it's just hanging this fucking thing on for seconds at a time. So I don't think it's likely that you're going to get tyres go down unless they wear completely through. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of lockups either, which is good for everybody who has not locked up their tyres, because it means that they're not going to have strange wears. You know, once you lock up a tyre, it tends to start hitting that flat spot over and over again when you brake, which makes things worse, which gives you a big chance that your tyre might go down. I haven't seen anybody doing that so far, and this race is so devoid of action. I get the feeling if somebody even fucking farts in one of these cars, they'll show a replay of it. Um, so I'm just assuming that nobody's really doing it. Probably because nobody's really pushing their tires. Which again is probably why the racing fucking sucks today, because nobody's pushing, because they're all trying to go without a pit stop. Now, Verstappen, if he pits now, he definitely will have the speed to undercut Russell. Absolutely. He could probably do it in a lap. But it depends. If Russell doesn't pit, it's wasted. Totally wasted. Now, if he didn't have Hamilton behind him, maybe he'd be more tempted to do it. Because then you could just build pace and pace and pace, and then by the time you catch Russell again, you've got much younger tyres. Leclerc radio. Charles having a bit of banter with his pit crew. Um, yeah, so basically, Hamilton is stopping Verstappen from pitting here because Verstappen can pit, and then he comes up against Lewis, who will just say, "No, you're not getting by me. Fuck off. It's not happening." And then it's over. And then Max has lost a position and basically got nothing out of it. So McLaren telling Norris that if there were a safety car, they would have a window, and they do. 15 seconds is enough of a window to pit under a safety car back to Russell. That they would give Norris a medium, and Sainz would have to go for a soft rather if he pitted, which is okay because I think with less than 30 laps to go now, I think he could make it home on a pair of softs. I mean, or on a set of softs rather. I don't think it'll be that quick by the end, but I think he'd definitely go home as the cars burn off fuel, as the track rubbers in and demands less of the tyres. Now, Stroll, 13 seconds now behind Gasly, so he has started to catch up. He's really started to catch up. In fact, Albon and Gasly and Tsunoda can't pit, or they will lose position to Stroll now. They all have to just keep going. Now, Tsunoda is so far back. You know, what's interesting actually is that Mercedes have not pitted Hamilton. If they pit him now with 30 laps to go, unless they think that Verstappen's going to pit just immediately after him, in which case, Stroll, I have a puncture. Oh, fuck. Ah, shit, well, that's not good. No, he does have a puncture. And that's a new set of tyres, too. Oh. And there it goes. I don't think that that'll be a safety car. It looks like that tyre carcass has ended up at the entrance to pit lane, but I don't think that'll be a safety car or even a VSC. You could probably just get a boat hook off a local yacht and just yank the fucking thing. Yeah. I mean, I can see a Marshall about 8 feet from it. You could probably get away with double waved yellows there. Yeah. I mean, if they throw a safety car for this, then we have hit NASCAR levels of race manipulation. Now, where would Stroll have picked that up? Because that was a new set of tires. He only put those on not that long ago, and now he's on the softs. So we'll see just how long the softs can go. Ah, that's a real shame for Lance. That's a real shame. Because he was looking really good there, but it also means that Tsunoda, Albon, and Gasly now can pit. Especially Albon. I think he would have a window here, and if he cannot get past Tsunoda, it might be worth rolling the dice. The only thing is Williams have 0 points right now. And they might want to just keep it. They might want to just keep it there and just see what they can get out of it. Yeah, basically, Tsunoda 8th. I think he's not going to... I mean, he's 45 seconds behind Hamilton. He's not getting any further than that. And Albon and Gasly are so barren. Like Williams and Alpine are so barren, and Albon and Gasly are so barren for points. They, I don't know if they're going to risk taking a pit stop now. Lance, what's he done here? Now it was a rear left puncture, I think. Oh, I think he might have clipped the wall. I think he's clipped the wall. Ah, oh, Lance, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know. I mean, if I'm Lance, I am praying that that was actually debris and not me just clipping the wall that's done that. Yeah. Nah, that's a big bloody shame. I mean, again, Stroll's not in the points there, but he had the potential to end up in the points from there. Oh, here we go. So here is Mercedes pitting. Who is this going to be? And a Red Bull. Hamilton. But Verstappen's not in the pits. Hmm. Well, that's interesting. So again, Hamilton is going to come out with so much room now. Now, he is actually going to come out with Stroll, I think, in front of him. Yeah, so, I mean, it's lap traffic. It shouldn't be that hard to get by, but it's going to be something to think about. It could potentially hold him up a little bit. Bottas has just got past Sargent. Is that on track? I think it is. That must have been at the hairpin. My God, I think we've actually had an overtake. So Joe and Bottas have switched positions, which I think was orchestrated. And now Bottas has got past Sargent. And now I'm starting to wonder why they didn't do this 30 laps ago, 40 laps ago. And now Red Bull are ready for a pit stop, which could only be Max Verstappen. Indeed, he is in the pits, so how's he going to do this? Yellow flag in Sector 2. Green flag, so that must have just been somebody's gone probably wide at Mirabeau. There's not really anywhere else in Sector 2 that you can go off and only cause a short yellow flag. Now that's Stroll. Hamilton won't be that far behind, though. Oh, he's got him. Max has got him. Yeah, quite easily in the end as well. And now Russell. Oh, 18 seconds. Russell has to pit this minute right now. Oh, he either pits this lap around or he gets jumped. The thing is, again, he could just stay ahead. He could just not pit and stay ahead, so we'll see. So, should Max pick to undercut Russell? We'll see now. Look at that. That is Valtteri Bottas getting by. It wasn't the hairpin, it was into Mirabeau. Just before the hairpin, so well done. Well done, Bottas. He has passed a car. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. Hamilton, why didn't you tell me outlap was critical? Again, he's very upset with his team, it seems. Just constantly he's upset with his team now. Oh, and just a quick aside, I noticed that they're doing the kids fucking commentary for Monaco. And I don't know why. Because apart from the kids, at least knowing who half the celebrities are, unlike myself, I'm not sure what any of the fucking kids are really going to get out of Monaco. They must be asleep by now. They must have fucking switched over to fucking SpongeBob or some shit. Because not a lot's happened in this race, to be honest. Which we kind of all knew going in. I'm surprised that they don't, like, go for the action-packed, like, you know it's going to be good races like Austria or, I don't know, Brazil or some shit, and just do those for the kids cast. Like, trying to encourage your kids to sit through Monaco, I think, is just cruel and unusual. I mean, if you want your kids to sit through anything, crank out the old 80s tapes of fucking Bathurst. You'll have a motor racing fan for life, I can tell you from experience. It's a very, very rare shot just there of Logan Sargent on TV. Make the most of it. Now, there still hasn't been any word about Antonelli getting that seat from Logan Sargent, at least in the immediate future, and I'm starting to think that Logan might end up being out after the summer break. It's when teams tend to do a bit of switching up, if they do it. But there's a decent chunk of races actually after the summer break this year. I think we're still doing 10 or 11 of them. So plenty of time if they are going to put Antonelli in that Williams seat. Oh, that's very close, Lando Norris is to Carlos Sainz here. Very, very, very close, but just, again, there's no room to get by. And now Verstappen's also gotten the fastest lap, which isn't that surprising because he's on brand new tyres, but he's also 11 seconds behind George Russell. So this will be the interesting part. Now, Russell's about 19, 20 odd seconds behind Norris. If any of the top four wanted to pit and get out, I think now's the time to do it. The only other thing is they would have to then go through all that traffic again, which is going to delay them like crazy. If, like for instance, if it's just Piastri that pits, he'll come out in fourth. He should come out in a pretty safe fourth, but he's going to have to go through all that traffic. And if the other three don't pit, assuming their tyres keep up, and they don't break apart, he's going to have to get by all that traffic again just to catch up to these guys. So I'm just not sure pitting. I don't see. I'm just not convinced that pitting's the right way to go, unless you're convinced that everybody else around you is going to pit. I just don't think it's the right way to go. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. But and again, it's even if you can catch them, then what? I mean, how long did it take Bottas to get by Sargent? He couldn't get past Zhou Guanyu. He had to be let by. I'm convinced that. I mean, I didn't even see the pass on track, but I'm pretty sure he would have had to be let by because he was stuck behind him for dozens of laps. Hamilton fastest lap now. It's too late from there. I think a bonus point is great for Lewis, but that's about all he's going to get out of there. Meanwhile, he's going about 4 seconds faster than the top four. Stroll's just gotten by Logan Sargent as well. I wonder if the speed differential really is that big, though. If it is, you know, it might just be getting to the point where the worn tyres are so useless you could actually get by. But again, it's a big send. It's a big send to send. It's a big send to it. This is why I'm not on a pit wall. I'm just racked with indecision here. You could pit, and if nobody else pits, and you're going to get through all that traffic and you don't catch up again, you look like a complete tit. Stroll going side by side in the tunnel. That's a good pass. That's a very, very brave part of track to be doing that. And Joey very brave as well to be going side by side with tyres that worn. And now Stroll, it looks like around the outside of Sargent into turn one. Surely not. No, he's done the crisscross through Saint Devot and then away he goes. Just look at the speed differential. You know what? I mean, those are soft tyres, but I think new tyres might actually really be that quick. I wasn't convinced before. I wasn't convinced, but I'm starting to become a believer now. So, lap 59 of 78, Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly. The top 10 has not changed. Beyond that, Alonso, Ricciardo, Bottas, Stroll, Sargent, Joe. It has changed a little bit. Ocon, Hulk, Perez, Magnussen, all out and have been since the very start. Sainz, if Lando puts a new medium on, Charles is in danger. Now, it might be worth Ferrari pulling the pin first then. If they pit Sainz, then they would have basically Norris would have to then pit. He would be obliged to pit or else he's going to be jumped. But Russell isn't that far back. I think the top four might actually be in a bit of a stalemate here because George Russell is just close enough, and if Max gets by George Russell, forget about pitting. It's all over. In fact, it would be fucking hilarious if the top four pit and Max ends up jumping them all. So Max is 3.6 seconds behind George Russell. Max himself is just out of pit stop range. Just out of pit stop range for the top four. But it's getting bloody close. It's getting very close. A little bit further away for the top two, but definitely Sainz and Norris. Max is starting to loom large in the background. 1 minute 14.204. That is, I think there's a 14.20 in there somewhere. There is. No one is watching the battery, says Max Verstappen. So he's not that happy with the support he's getting from the pit wall regarding harvesting and deployment of his battery power. How exciting. Now, there's George Russell just ahead of Max. Oh, now this is what the top four are going to be watching. Because it could be that if Verstappen can get by George Russell, then it will be too late for the top four to pit. If they're going to pit, they're going to have to do it very, very soon. In fact, I think Sainz and Norris might be a little too marginal to pit. It might be just Leclerc and Piastri who can. But if they're the only ones who can, then Sainz and Norris end up inheriting the win. Meanwhile, Albon is right on the back of Tsunoda. Still, after all of this time, he is hanging just off the back of Tsunoda. Right off his arsehole like a dingleberry. And just sitting there. Sitting there all day. Like sharting on the bus to work. He's sitting up right on his arsehole and he'll be there for the whole fucking day. Meanwhile, Alonso's still got a little bit of a train behind him, but he's not really picked up the pace whatsoever. Has Fernando? I mean, he hasn't pitted, for one, so there's not really any pace to pick up here, but I would have thought that Aston Martin could get by an Alpine. Now, Monaco, again, it's very different, but to be that far behind an Alpine after all of these laps... I mean, I know he was slowing. I think he was slowing everybody down so Stroll could get the pit stop, which would have been great. But doesn't look like it's worked out in the end. But again, I'm not sure. Like, Stroll still was 11th, and Tsunoda, Albon, and Gasly, all of whom have not pitted. So I don't know. I do gotta wonder. I gotta wonder if it would have done anything anyway. It's one of those we'll never know sort of scenarios. Here's Max Verstappen right on the arsehole of George Russell. Oh, here we go. Now, where can Verstappen make a lunge? See, the thing is, Verstappen, I think, isn't 100% safe in the championship, regarding winning it. When you see Ferrari and McLaren, especially running 1, 2, 3, 4 like they are right now, they've really caught up on Red Bull. They've really caught up. I'm not sure how many times they're going to be able to beat them this year, but they have really, really caught up. Max is going to have his work cut out. That said, I still think he'll be a champion. I'm still convinced he'll be champion. Not 100%, maybe 98%. In which case, is it worth Max sending it here on George, or is he just going to bank the points? Do an Alain Prost, bank the points, and then just see what happens for the rest of the season? Which I think, being pragmatic, I would say just bank the points. You know, take 6, go from there. But I don't know if Max has ever been the most pragmatic guy. That's why he's so fun to watch. That said, Max hasn't really been happy with his car this year, has he? Especially the last couple of rounds, he's really started complaining a lot, not just in the practice sessions, but really in the race, that the car's no good. It's not handling well. And here we go, Max Verstappen is actually catching right on the back of, who is that? I think it's Daniel. Is that Daniel Ricciardo or is that Alex Albon? It's Albon, I think. Yes, it is. And just straight past that traffic, so not even any problem. I suppose it would be Albon and Tsunoda, wouldn't it? They're about a minute behind Hamilton. Oh, a minute 10 rather behind Hamilton. Pardon me. And much like this race, I've had a cold for the last couple of weeks. It doesn't seem to be ending, that is just dragging on and on and on. So hopefully 2 weeks' time, I'll be back. Well, I'll definitely be back, but hopefully when I am back doing the Canadian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, I'll actually have more of a voice and more of a throat to work with. That's what she said. And hopefully no red flags, or else I'm going to have to spend another 40 minutes talking absolute bollocks. Now, lap 65. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, who is right up the back of George Russell now, but it's about a second. It's not going to be close enough to really make a difference here. Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly is the top 10, and I think it's going to stay that way. Alonso's quite a ways back in 11th. Then Ricciardo, Bottas, Stroll, Joe, Sargent. So unless there's a crash, unless something goes wrong, I think this is probably how it's going to shake out. Now, there was a brief few laps here where we thought maybe a pit stop could happen, and maybe that would do something here, but I think just looking at the gaps now, Piastri is 1.6 behind Leclerc. They're not going to catch him. It's definitely not going to pass him. Norris 0.4 behind Sainz. Now that's the interesting one. I don't think Norris is going to send it, because these guys are outside periphery championship chances, and I think it's probably too early in the season, especially with the rate that McLaren is improving and the Ferrari as well is improving. It's probably too early in the season to just start throwing Hail Marys for a single race result, especially if it's not for a win. I mean, if you're a Leclerc fan, this is probably the best race you've ever seen. I remember Mark Webber winning this race in 2010 and 2012 as well, and I just thought, my God, this is the best race I've ever seen. Or Daniel Ricciardo winning it in 2018. That was just fantastic. As long as your fella's winning, I think it's always, there's never really a dull race. So I'm adjusting again. There's never really a dull race when your fella is winning, because you just enjoy seeing him in position one. I think this is going to be Leclerc's first win, assuming, again, let's try not to curse him here, but assuming that nothing happens in the next few laps, and it finishes this way, this will be Leclerc's first win in nearly 2 years since, what was his last win? Red Bull Ring 2022. Fucking hell. I cannot believe it's been nearly 2 years since he won a race. It doesn't even seem real. Like, Leclerc's too good for that. But, I mean, it's been 2.5. Probably we will hit the full 3 years between Hamilton winning a race, so, anything's possible. And just, especially if in 2021, I can't imagine Lewis won't win another race. But if he never does, and you never know, but I'd assume that he will at Ferrari, at the very least. But if he never did, it's one of those things, one of those weird sort of things. It's like when Jacques Villeneuve won his championship, and he won the European Grand Prix, and after that he never led a lap in Formula One again. Not the it was the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. No, not the European. What do they call it back then? The Luxembourg Grand Prix. That's it. Fucking wank. Yeah, he never led a lap again after that. And it's just one of those strange things. Sargent says, I've hit the wall. Well, he's still going. In fact, he's still right on the back of Zhou Guanyu, so it can't have been that bad of a hit. Probably just, again, just a little suck. Just one little suck. Piastri now 2.4 seconds behind. 10 laps to go. I think Oscar's given up the chase. I think it's over. Norris 0.9 behind Sainz. I think he's starting to give up the chase as well. I think they're starting to realise, those McLaren lads, that there just is nowhere to pass. Sainz as well had better thank his lucky stars for Kevin Magnussen and Sergio Perez, because he was looking at a DNF today and he's going to end up third instead. So, it's a shame that Sainz can't win. It's a shame that he can't pass Piastri for second. But having already seen Carlos parking at Casino Square, parking his car with a puncture, and nearly the whole field going by, I think maybe, I'm grateful that he's going to end up with a podium. Assuming nothing happens here, which I don't think it will. Here we go, Logan Sargent. So what's this going to be? Just a little bit of a Lance Stroll hit on the swimming pool. Okay, fair enough. That wall just gets painted every single year, because these cars are sturdy enough that they can do that lap after lap and get away with it, as long as it's not a very big hit. Who was it who did a big hit in Formula, I think it was the F2 race yesterday? There was a massive hit coming out of the final corner. I forget who that was now, but it's insane what some of these cars can take, some of the abuse that they can take and keep on going. So, Verstappen 6th. I would not have picked Verstappen finishing 6th in this race, especially coming into the weekend. In fact, he was probably my pick to win it. And just probably still my pick to win the rest of the races for this season. As you see, there's a big gap now between Charles Leclerc and Piastri, 4 seconds. So yeah, Leclerc's running away with it now. Unless Piastri's actually quite slow, because Carlos Sainz is caught right up with him. 0.5 seconds, 1 second, going through the traffic. I think Piastri's just maybe caught the traffic at the wrong time. Four seconds now, Leclerc over Piastri. It's over. It's over. I mean, not that there was any real... Not that there's ever any real doubt about it, I think, but it's definitely all over. And I just heard Crofty use the phrase Achilles wheel. You know what? Maybe the kids' channel isn't that bad an alternative. So Sainz keeping close to Piastri. Again, I don't think he's going to send it. Although, that said, Sainz has also been given the sack, so I'm not sure if he really gives a shit about giving points to Ferrari anymore. I mean, he is a professional and he will try to the end as long as he can have a shot at a win every now and then, but I don't think he will be all of that fast where Ferrari end up in the championship this year. Beyond personal pride, I don't think he gives a shit. And again, I know why Ferrari has gone to replace him with Lewis Hamilton. If you can get a 7-time world champion on board, you tend to do it. It's a bit like when Checo got chucked out of Racing Point in 2020, even though he was doing well, even though he got them a win, still got the arse to fit in Sebastian Vettel, because when you have a multiple world champion apparently on the market, you're kind of obliged to go for it. That said, just like I thought getting Seb over Checo was a bad idea for Racing Point, turned out great for Checo in the end, so thank goodness, but I think it might be... I mean, I don't know. Lewis Hamilton's a different kettle, though, but it's going to be interesting to see how he goes next year, actually. I want to see what he can do to bounce back, because I'm not convinced this is like a form thing. I mean, some guys just tend to drop off and then they never quite get it back. I remember when Michael Schumacher, of all people, came back into the sport in 2010 and never got near what he was doing before his first retirement. I mean, he was just a god. He was my fucking hero growing up. Just an absolute god. And to see him coming back in 2010 for those 3 seasons, it was a different guy came back, I tell you what. A different guy, a different Michael Schumacher sat in that Mercedes, because it just was not the magic man that we all knew from Ferrari. Meanwhile, Piastri, podium at Monaco, great for him. That's fantastic. And I think a just reward as well for what's been a fast but pretty unlucky season so far. So I'm happy for him. Happy for him, and it's a good omen for today. McLaren finishing 2nd and 4th. Hopefully they can go one better this afternoon. Any of their drivers doing it. Pato, Larson, Rossi, or Ilott, I think would be fantastic. I think they raced also today in Shanghai for the Formula E, but I think would rather attack my own ballsack with a cheese grater than watch a Formula E race. And I have fucking tried. I have tried to watch Formula E in the past. I just can't bloody do it. It's like rugby league for me. I just can't. God, I've tried. I can't do it. It's just shit. And I watch all fucking sorts of racing. I think it's just the electric part of it. It just sounds fucking stupid, and the cars look shit, and the tracks are usually really goofy. Yeah. Oh, Joe has pitted for softs. So that would have to be... Oh, what is this? He's just letting the McLaren go. And, oh, okay, so that's how Logan got by Joe Guan Yu. Just followed the traffic. That's quite industrious out of Logan Sargent there. Good work. Now, Logan Sargent, I think, is in his last Monaco Grand Prix. In fact, if he turns up in Monaco in a Formula 1 car again to race, I will be astonished, because I can't see Williams keeping him. Leclerc, I'll just bring it home. Thank you. He could bring it to his actual home, actually. Maybe that's what he means. Cross the finish line and then just head for home. Get back in your streaming. And considering all the bad luck that Charles Leclerc's had here before. Especially since he started racing with Ferrari. I remember 19, Ferrari completely fucked his qualifying, which meant he started right at the back, and he got in a tangle early on in the race in 2019 and just basically fucked it. Didn't finish that race. 2020, the race didn't happen because there was I think there was some sort of a virus going around the world from memory. Whatever, it's probably minor thing. Anyway, 21 didn't finish, didn't even start. Qualified on pole, didn't even fucking start the race because he crashed in qualifying and they didn't get the thing repaired right because, you know, it's Ferrari. And then 22 he was leading and ended up getting shitted by his bad strategy on a drying track. And then last year he was just nowhere even close. Like the Ferrari just wasn't close enough to even challenge for a win. But this year it looks like it's going to happen. 9 seconds now. Piastri is behind Charles Leclerc. So Piastri's really nursing a home. I wonder if he's just trying to back Sainz up and see if Norris can have a go. But I just don't think there's going to be any room for that to happen. Meanwhile, Verstappen... Oh, Kylian Mbappe waving the flag as he waves goodbye to PSG, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if it's him or it's somebody. I'm pretty sure it's Kylian Mbappe who's going to Real Madrid. No, might be nice for him to play in a real football team for once. Everyone's very nervous back in Ferrari. Should have to be. I mean, there's only 2.5 laps to go here, and Leclerc has such a lead, but God, just considering Leclerc's luck here, you know, it really wouldn't be out of the realm a possibility for that Ferrari engine to just grenade itself with a lap to go. Do a bit of a Mika Hakkinen. Anyway, considering it's lap 77 now, 2 laps to go. What do we think about today's race? Because I'm thinking fucking 2 stars. It was nice to see Charles Leclerc win, and that's the kind of novelty that can maybe save an afternoon like this. If it were Max winning this, I think everybody in the world, besides Max Verstappen fans, would have turned off by now, because we all know how it goes. Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, that's a very novel podium. No Red Bull. And no Mercedes. So that's very interesting. When you consider the last few seasons of Formula One, the last 10 or so years of Formula One, actually, the last 15 years of Formula One, to be honest. Anyway, Ferrari, McLaren, it looks like it's going to end. I'd say 2 out of 5 this race, because fuck all happened after the opening initial bit of nightmare fuel for myself, the Science fan, and then that big wreck for Checo, which sucks for him. In fact, Checo's going to be an interesting one. Keep an eye on that seat, because I get the feeling you're going to start hearing a lot more for the rest of the season. Maybe Checo might not be cut out for it. Which I, unfortunately, and I love Checo, and I've been a big fan of his for years and years, but I think it would be a mistake seeing how the other teams have caught up. I mean, look at that top fucking 4. Look at the top 5 even. It's a mistake to have a Checo, and I don't mean Checo, I mean a Checo in that seat. If you're fighting 2 Ferraris and 2 McLarens, you need somebody who you can really rely on to put up the numbers. I don't know, Verstappen's 6 today, so, you know, that's fair enough, but Perez way at the back, not sure I'm feeling that. And I don't know how much longer Red Bull are going to be feeling that. So that'll be one to look for over the rest of the season. Like I was saying, the ticking's getting louder and the dominoes are going to start falling very, very soon. Either way, Charles Leclerc coming out of Tabac. A lot of applause there from the grandstands. A whole lot of applause. I don't think they're locals in the grandstands. I think the locals are all in their apartments. Comes around the final corner. Charles Leclerc, amazingly, Charles Leclerc is going to win in Monaco. Outstanding. Out fucking standing. Well done. Well done, lad. Good work. That is just brilliant. Piastri second, Sainz third, Norris fourth after all of that, and then Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly. And everybody else is a lap down, so they've already finished. Alonso, Ricciardo, Bottas, Stroll, Sargent, and then Zhou Guanyu, who's, I think, still on his final lap. And I think is going for the fastest lap, but it looks like he's got Albon in front of him as traffic, so he's probably not going to get that. So, there we go. That's the end of it. And here we are. Fuck, what is that? 2.5 hours. God. Yeah, that did feel brutal as well. Goodness me. So, Charles Leclerc. And look at him, he's absolutely fucking stoked. And he's going absolutely fucking nuts on the radio. God bless him. This is just the thing that he needed. This is just the thing that F1 could really do with a Charles Leclerc win in Monaco. It's a feel-good story. We've been waiting years for this. And, it's lovely. It's very, very nice. Very nice for him. Have to be driver of the day. Controlled the race really well, right from the front. So nobody ended up pitting. In the end, the top five ended up running their cars all the way to the end, and then Tsunoda, Albon, and Gasly, and Alonso, Ricciardo as well. Everybody else tried a pit stop at various points. Some of them tried a couple of pit stops, but it just never quite worked. Leclerc's absolutely loving it. So yeah, let's say 2 out of 5. This is lovely to see. You know, this is what saves it from being a 1-star, really. Things like this is just wonderful. Oh, bless. Yeah, he's loving it. First Monegasque to win the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix is Charles Leclerc. I was wondering about that. I know he's not the first Monegasque driver, but he's definitely the first one to win his home Grand Prix. Quite amazing that we've had someone from Monaco has won Monaco before we've had someone from Australia win a championship Australian Grand Prix. Maybe Piastri will put that right. It's going to kill me forever that it was never Ricciardo, though. Oh well, that's life. Good work, Charles, and he's going absolutely mad in the Parc Vermeil here. Oh, bless him. It's a feel-good story, this one. Anyway, so in the end, Leclerc, Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly. That is the running order, exactly the same as it was after, I think, lap 1. I don't think there was a single change. 11th through 16th definitely changed, but that's about it. There was no retirements after the start. Pardon me, after the restart. Alright, cool. So, that's really all there is to say about that. You know, it was a race. It's definitely a result. I think post race is going to be a whole lot more than actually watching the race. Science looks a little bit stuffed there. I mean, it's still a decent effort doing what they do, lap after lap. It is Monaco, and it is a very, very difficult place to drive a Formula One car. I mean, who was it? Berger, I think, Gerhard Berger or somebody of that sort um, said years ago that driving an F1 car at Monaco is like riding a mountain bike around your living room. Um, this is a very good way of putting it, I think. You know, it's not an easy track to do it, but it's also not the most entertaining track when they're actually out there racing. However, we're through it. Thank Christ we actually got through it with another big red flag. But it's all good. Charles Leclerc is your winner. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I might just enjoy this moment. Anyway, I think there's not much really else to bring out of this race. I think Aston Martin was pretty disappointing. I think O'Connor's a damn son, you're a fucking disappointment. Checo at the back and then getting involved in that big wreck, even though I don't think it was his fault entirely. K-Mag, will he turn up in Canada? We'll have to see. We'll have to see what the stewards decide about that sort of shit. Charles Leclerc interview here. Oh, bless. He's so happy. And all you Leclerc fans, I know you've been suffering for a good couple of years now, so soak it up. This is as good as it gets. Days like today are as good as it gets. Just look how happy he is. I think if it's not a championship, then it's the home race. That's the one that you want to win, and he's done it. He did it. The boy did it. God bless him. Well done. Oh well, I don't think I've got anything really to add. I will be back. Yeah, actually, this has been a fucking long broadcast as well because of the red flag. I will be back in 2 weeks' time for the Canadian Grand Prix at complete cunt o'clock in the morning. So, God help me. I will hopefully have my voice back. I hope it will be a little bit higher energy than this race, and I think I will hope that I will be a bit higher energy at 4 in the AM. But we'll see. A lot of things to look forward to for the rest of the year. Ferrari look quick, McLaren look quick, Red Bull look troubled. That'll be interesting to keep an eye on. We'll see if the Carlos Sainz to Audi deadline is a real thing, and if it has indeed passed. It's going to get really entertaining, I think, from here on in the Formula One season. I think it'll be really, really fun. I think the races are going to be a lot less predictable. It's not just going to be Max will rock up and win, as we've seen today, as we saw in Miami, and even in Imola, where he was pushed right to the limit. I think it's going to be a lot more open, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be, I think, worth tuning into, and hopefully it's worth tuning into me talking absolute bollocks over the race. I love the sport, and I will talk into the ether, into the void, for the rest of my life, every time there's a Formula One race on. So if you want to tune in again, feel free. You know, do whatever you want, really. That said, I hope you have fun. I hope you've had fun. I hope you'll have fun until the next race, and I hope you have fun at the next race. Haven't even introduced myself today. I don't think it matters. I'm that guy from Turn15. How's about that? Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again soon. 2 weeks' time in Canada. Yeah, sounds like fun. Okay. I will catch you all again, and once again, stoked for Charles Leclerc. Good. It's a good day for F1. Not a good day for the race, but it's a good day for F1 in general. Anyway, that's enough for